Thank you very much for attending this meeting, extraordinary council meeting, councillors and colleagues and members of the public. For minute-taking purposes, this meeting will be recorded, please.
And thanks everyone for attending the extraordinary meeting for the Tuesday, the 4th of June 2024. We have the application to attend via audio-visual link from Councillor Barry, Councillor Drake and Councillor Bowditch. Do I have someone remember? Councillor Woodruff and Councillor Marshall. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Declare that carried. The acknowledgement of country, please, Councillor Douglas.
I'd like to acknowledge the Wanneroo people, the traditional custodians of the land that we hold this meeting on tonight. And I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. And I'd like to acknowledge that we have Aboriginal people and non-Aboriginal people as part of this meeting tonight.
Thank you, Councillor. Let's take prayer, Councillor Lecky.
Almighty God, from whom comes every good and perfect gift, we give you thanks for the blessings you bestow upon us in this Shire. Grant to those who hold the office in this council a spirit of justice and truth, of wisdom and charity, that mindful of our responsibility and the needs of those we serve, we may promote the true welfare of your people, exercise wisely and faithfully the authority committed to us to advance the common good through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Okay, please be seated. Brings us to apologies, applications for leave, which we have in nil. Disclosure of any pecuniary or non-pecuniary interests. Given this topic, I feel like I need everybody. In the watch thread. The mayoral minute, there is nil. Public participation, there is nil. Business, which brings us to 8.1 councillors. Community 8.2. Community infrastructure 8.2.1 photo, additional service eligibility criteria. You have an amended recommendation that's been provided by staff, and it reads as this: 1, weekly red bin pickup subject to application for additional fee. 2, upsized red bin subject to application for an additional fee. That's it. 3, discounts for additional bins subject to application and medical need in line with Council's MSC 15E hardship policy. And 4, review to be carried out of the MSC 15E hardship policy and to be brought to Council for adoption. Want to move that motion? Councillor.
The amendment.
I'll look at that later. 5, councillors, 5, where the council's financial hardship policy does not apply, ratepayers may apply for one of the following services for an additional fee as provided in council's adopted 2024-2025 fees and charges. 1, larger 240 litre red lid bin. 2, additional 140 litre red lid bin. Or 3, weekly red bin collection.
I'll move that way.
Moved by Councillor Woodruff, seconded by Councillor Marshall. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I believe that this is the correct way for council to go. We'll be reviewing the financial hardship policy. We also took on board what everyone said, and this way those people who can afford will pay, and not everyone will be impacted. Thank you.
Anyone wishing to speak against?
Yes.
Yes.
I oppose the motion for a couple of reasons. One of them, it's odd that we have a motion that says we're going to vote on what the final outcome is before we know what the final outcome is. So the final outcome for me is when all councillors are comfortable with what the hardship policy says in regards to genuine hardship about a bin. Not we'll vote on the hardship policy, and by the way, we'll vote on it tonight that's what applies, but we'll decide at a later date what the hardship policy looks like. I'll briefly talk about the hardship policy. We're talking here about, we're talking about something here that, well, when I say we, I refer to local government, state government have imposed on ratepayers. Nothing that ratepayers have done. It's not from a failure from ratepayers. It's not from a failure from council for that matter, but it's been imposed on us. The hardship policy is a policy that isn't an easy bar to get over, nor should it be. It was designed for a reason, the hardship policy. So anyone genuinely that couldn't pay rates or couldn't pay monies that were owed to the council, obviously the policy applied, and they passed the policy. We'll say passed. They either got relief or they didn't get relief. We're just talking about here about ratepayers who genuinely can't fit enough rubbish in a red bin, in a small red bin once a fortnight. That's all we're talking about. And we want to impose a $366. I'm happy to be corrected on that, but $366 fee on them, just because they genuinely, and I'll use that word, genuinely can't fit their rubbish in a small red bin. We are one of, and I've seen the report. The report covers what councils have small red bins and what have large red bins. Of course, as I say, our issue is magnified a little bit because we only have a small red bin, not a large red bin certainly like some of our neighbouring councils. So for that reason, I oppose the motion. I'm having a lot of trouble accepting that we'll apply the hardship policy, and obviously there was some conversation between councillors prior and last night, and I apologise I wasn't there, when we don't know what the hardship policy will look like. As I say, we want to apply a policy that I'm pretty confident that no one in the room at the moment is going to be able to tell me exactly what it's going to look like or how it's going to work. And obviously until the process of changing it happens. So for that reason, I oppose the motion.
Okay. Do we have anyone else wishing to speak for the motion?
Reiterate. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to speak for the motion because it's the best we can get. Even if we remove the hardship policy or hardship criteria, which is a proven policy that's been working for however long. A hardship is a hardship. It doesn't matter if it's an expenditure on a bin, expenditure on rates, expenditure on whatever. Hardship is hardship. It's financial hardship. It will be reviewed as a financial hardship. If we do not include the hardship policy, we could have the scenario where very wealthy and well-off people are actually being subsidised by people who have low bin mass, who are really struggling. So because of the legislation, it's a fee for service. Someone's going to have to pay. If we don't have the hardship policy, we could effectively be deflecting from the rich people onto the poor people. That's my strongest recommendation. Is this recommendation is the best we can get. We've discussed it for weeks and months, and I think it's great that Councillor Drayton, you've moved that motion to inspire us to think as deeply as we can to look after the disadvantaged, and that's happened. And I think we all got a bit of a shaker because it's been going along for a long time, but we haven't all been across it. I think we're all across it now. And the reality is someone has to pay, and we don't want to deflect that onto people who don't have a lot of rubbish and maybe not have a lot of money, but we do want to look after the disadvantaged, and this does that.
Thanks, Councillor Deal. Does anyone wish to speak against it? Yeah.
Look, I agree with a lot of what Jeff said. We are one of those councils with a smaller bin. Quite a few of the councils that have already undergone the FOGO have the larger red bin. So I feel we're starting behind a little bit in the fact that our ratepayers only have a small bin. Yes, I agree. There are people out there that can afford to pay the additional fees. I don't have an issue with that. I'd like to see the financial hardship policy to include the FOGO side of things before so that I feel comfortable.
Okay. Do you want to Of last week. Agenda manager, I'll ask some context around that if you can, around this hardship.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, councillors. I'd just like to reiterate Councillor Neil's comments around the work that council have done in relation to this. It's been incredibly arduous, and we've demonstrated so much conscientiousness and deep thought around this, working so hard in collaboration with staff and the community to try and get the best result for the community. In relation to hardship policy, it will be a joint effort to get the best possible hardship policy that we can that meets the needs of the future in relation to FOGO. The policy has, as Councillor Woodruff said, has been relevant for quite a large number of years. It is not greatly accessed, but if we conduct a review that you are satisfied with, and that the community is satisfied with, as Councillor Miller said, I think it is the best option we could possibly make, because we will never get the perfect position. We will refine it over time towards 2030 as the conditions that are placed on councils become more onerous to make sure that we are reducing methane generation in our void. Thank you. Thanks very much.
No one else?
Just through the mayor, to the general manager.
Yep.
With regards to that review, general manager, what kind of undertaking are you prepared to give the councillors as to when?
Thanks, Councillor Scholes. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. We know this is an important issue for councillors. We would respect Councillor Douglas's and Councillor Drayton's concerns and the concerns you've all raised. So we will try to get this to the June council meeting.
Yes.
We'll certainly hold workshops in June with councillors. That's the only way to get it right, is to make sure you're part of the process. And we'll try our best to get it to the June council meeting, although there's a lot of visits coming in June, including the budget operational plan and other integrated planning and reporting documents. But we will sort of endeavour to get it as soon as we possibly can, even if that means calling an extraordinary council meeting.
Yeah, well, my point is basically, if we make this decision as a council that's currently sitting here now, we're the same council that should be, that makes the decision with regards to the that policy, the hardship policy, because they're so obviously interlinked. So it's a problem we've got. We can't separate the two.
That's a very good point.
All right. No supplementary? Right reply? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So you moved it.
I would reiterate to councillors that the hardship policy came into being for exactly the purpose that we're talking about now. We understood and always have understood, that some members of the community are more needy than others. This is not going to be a more stringent policy. And the words FOGO don't need to apply. The hardship policy applies to the services that we provide to our community on their behalf. So the review really is just to make sure our seatbelt's properly adjusted, and that what we inspire to do is exactly what the policy will. There may well be a few words added or deleted from the policy, but I think by and large, as it stands now, this policy does exactly what it's designed to do, and that is to look after the people in our community that are doing it tough or have a hardship of some degree, whether that's medical, financial, in any other circumstance. So I commend the motion as put. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just add, if I may, Councillor Marshall, sorry.
Just I want to speak about the policy. Like
Question?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Ultimately, like I asked you, Mr. Gentleman, how many people like last year apply for the hardship? Only 12 people, 12 ratepayer, they apply for the hardship. And ultimately, if we putting this hardship in place for the FOGO, ultimately no one getting the extra win. No ratepayer can get extra win through this hardship policy.
Thank you, Councillor Mahar.
Only 12 people.
And thank you, Councillor Hart. That's the number. we'd have to provide with the exact number, but the advice is it's under that number that applied. And that's the reason to carry out the review with councillors, to make sure that you're comfortable with the policy, that it is reflecting your desire for the community and what you want to see, the service you want to see from council, that the community can apply for, that you're comfortable with.
Well, just a question with the second part of councillor's remark with regards to, through this policy, no one gets a red bin, additional red bin.
Additional red.
I just need to understand that. I don't see how it's applied.
Because if we talking about like how many people last year applied for the hardship, only 12 ratepayers only apply for hardship.
Yeah.
Only 12.
Yeah.
It means only these 12 can apply for the red bin.
Oh,
No.
No, if we, my concern is that if we place this hardship along with the FOGO, then like massive application we can have to handle. Then they can apply for the red bin, and the plus they can apply for the rates.
Yes, they can apply for the rates. That's the, yeah, that's a policy.
No.
Councillor.
It means if someone like get the red bin, is automatically they can get the rate.
If they wanted to go to the line of the hardship policy, Councillor Marsden, yeah, it means that they're genuinely in a hardship position and they would need that for the rates as well. They would need that for the rates. So secondary would be FOGO position. So
I agree with Councillor, again, just quickly, I agree with Councillor Mahajan. I mean, it is a really hard bar it's a really hard bar to meet. I mean, 12 people is a great example. And we're talking about people who just can't afford and can't fit stuff in the bin. I don't know how moving forward we can say we're happy with the hardship policy when it gets reviewed when we haven't seen a review.
Well, I think that is in fact. We will certainly conduct workshops with councillors, so you're all part of the process, absolutely. You're guiding the process in that sense. And we'll work on it to make sure that you are happy with the outcome of the policy and the way it's worded, phrased, and the intent behind it all. That's really, it seems to me that's the crux of the matter. That's a concern at the moment. And that's what we'll commit to do.
So yeah, just councillors, as I said, I'll speak to the matter because everyone is very clear. I've been very outspoken about this because it doesn't exactly work for my personal values at home, and I have to separate that for the council and the community. I understand that yes, we do have this FOGO process coming into play, and there are grant money reliant upon meeting certain steps and criteria along the way. It's the hard decisions that we have to make as councillors. It's not we run on the popular one every time. We're in a hard place, and sometimes it is the hard decisions. The hardship policy, without a doubt, needs work done. And we've had the undertaking, we'll get it done this term, so it fits in. With that saying, like I said, personally doesn't work for me, but I've also agreed with the general undertake a filming of the process and an educational side of things for the community. If things can be done better from my place and it's an educational side, I'd be more willing to be shamed into that. So I commit that motion now as it stands. Those in favour, please raise a hand. All those against? What? One, three councillors, four councillors. Thank you, which brings us to the close of tonight's committee meeting, and thank you everyone for their time. I'll just read out again, General Manager, the motion is as follows: with respect to the application of the council's adopted resolution from the 14th of May 2024 extraordinary council meeting, the criterion for applying for a free larger red bin or second small bin red bin is a household demonstrating genuine additional need and under financial hardship. 2, financial hardship shall be assessed under consideration of financial hardship policy 15E. 3, staff to review council's financial hardship policy and necessary to ensure those that could suffer hardship because of implementation of program limits are not excluded from the provision of financial relief as provided in the policy. 4, following a review by staff, the financial policy, hardship policy should be submitted to council for review. And 5, where council's financial hardship policy does not apply, ratepayers may apply for one of the following services provided in council's adopted 2024-2025 fees and charges. 1 being larger 240 litre red bin, 2 being an additional 140 litre red bin, or 3 the weekly red bin collection.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The councillors understand that as the motion.
Yes,
Yeah, we voted on
yeah, it's like, so just ensuring. Okay. I declare that as carried and the closure of the meeting at 6:08 p.m. Thank you, staff. Thank you, councillors.
We're going to start.